nor the WBA organization opinion on the matter. In fact, the WBA president stated, "It's the contrary. He feels and he believes, just like everyone else, Gervonta taking a knee was a clear knockdown, and it should have been counted as such."
The World Boxing Association has just canceled the rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont REMATCH after another appeal came from Lamont REMATCH. Talks of the rematch have been suspended as the organization is set to reassess the situation and come up with a final decision. Until then, the rematch will be suspended as a team of 7 boxing officials, including referees, judges, and World Boxing Association executives, has been formed to look into the situation and come up with an unbiased conclusion. But they can both move on with other fights.
Who you gonna fight next?
That's what I'm talking about. That's the question right there. I want to unify at 135. Me and Shakur already talked to each other, and if he's available and we can line it up, that's what we're going to do.
Really? Y'all wait, y'all spoke like this? Yo, let's get this popping.
For sure.
Like
what are you
that.
talking about? If he beats Tank, he's fighting Tank again. Obviously, there's a rematch going.
We talking about past that. We talking past that because you got to give him the option and tell what he gonna do. So you talk personally to Shakur, no managers, whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Personally. He cool.
Okay.
Gervonta took a knee. That's automatically a knockdown. These are the rules of boxing. This is like ABCDs at this point. If you confused, then you either really casual or just a fanboy. This is not up for debate. I mean, Gervonta can have an excuse to why he took a knee.
Even without the knee, that should have been a knockdown. I thought I should have won a competitive fight. I think I did what I needed to do necessary to bank the rounds. I'm just a little frustrated with this.
This becomes the latest update, despite Lamont REMATCH's recent appearance in an interview, where he had spoken about the rematch happening in June or July. Lamont REMATCH had assured his interviewers that talks of an immediate rematch was ramping up. REMATCH told the podcast that he is absolutely insisting Willis be nowhere near the ring next time around. Hell no. No, he can't do the next fight. Look at how many times he messed the fight up. The knee, him going to the corner to get assistance. I'm not saying that he did any cheating stuff or anything, but the coach wiped his face with a towel. You can't do that. You can't do any of that. That's a disqualification. You turned your back on the ref after you took a knee. Usually the ref will be like, all right, you don't want to fight no more. Fight's off.
Cards. Judge at the ringside. Eric Marlinsky scores it on 115 to 113 in favor of Gervonta Davis. Judges Steve Weisfeld and Glenn Feldman both scores about 114 to 114, even a draw. The decision is a majority draw.
REMATCH's petition to the New York State Athletic Commission for the result to be overturned was denied. However, both teams have confirmed an immediate rematch was the next move, and reports suggest it could happen towards the end of June. REMATCH said, "I'ma tell you right now, I'm signed and sealed. We are waiting on the other half, that's all." However, things quickly changed after REMATCH's team pressed for a further review. Lamont REMATCH and his team had done this, hoping the rematch would go on regardless. Sadly, they unknowingly impeded the rematch by their request. While there wasn't much hype about the March 1st fight between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont REMATCH heading into the bout, it's all the boxing world seemingly wants to talk about in the days and weeks after it ended.
You're now officially moving up to 35?
I mean, we gonna see. I mean, like, so I'm gonna be the champ at both weights.
Right.
And if there's no opportunity to unify at 35, I want to unify at 30.
This is owed to the controversial 9th round of the fight, where Davis took a knee, then went to his corner to ask for someone to wipe his face with a towel, and then returned right to the fight, all of which went unpenalized by referee Steve Willis. The bout was ultimately ruled a majority draw, which has opened the door for a rematch between these two lightweight fighters. In the aftermath of the fight, a common narrative among fans was that Davis, who entered the fight as a favorite to beat REMATCH, was overrated, given how the outcome went. However, few people would be able to offer a more accurate answer to this question than REMATCH, given he spent 12 rounds in the ring with him. And during his appearance on a March 18th episode of the It Is What It Is podcast, REMATCH set the record straight on whether he believes Davis is overrated.
Personally. Naj, you got anything else from Lamont?
Yo, last question. I just want to know, How has your life changed since the fight, man? You know, obviously we follow each other on social media. I see your followers went up, all of the other stuff kind of going up. How has things changed for you since the fight has happened?
Bruh, literally overnight, it changed. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I got walk around with security. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I walk around with my peoples. Like, it's crazy. I can't do the same stuff that I used to do.
I definitely want the people to know that he was on his A game that night. I'm gonna tell people that 100%, Roach said. Just because he didn't live up to the expectations doesn't mean that he fought a bad fight. People say he's trash now and overrated. He's a good fighter. I was in there thinking like I have to. It didn't take away anything from him. That was why the fight was so good, he added. So there you have it. Both Davis and Roach should get a chance to stake their claim as the superior fighter when the two rematch later this year.
Like, I can't go to the grocery store. I can't go nowhere, bro. Like, I can't do nothing. And it's crazy. Like, it's just crazy because I know that that's what this come with if I get to the level that I'm supposed to be. But when it really happened to you, like, you sit back and look at it like, damn, like, this really happened.
The narrative around undefeated World Boxing Association lightweight champion Gervonta "Tank" Davis has undergone a drastic shift ever since his March 1st bout against Lamont Roach Jr., where the two fought to a majority draw decision. Many people believe that Roach did enough to earn a victory and hand Davis his first professional loss outright. However, when one factors in that Davis wasn't penalized for taking a knee in the 9th round, which should have resulted in a 10-8 scorecard for Roach rather than a 10-9 for Davis, it seems clear that Davis essentially escaped with an unearned result.
Gervonta Davis.
Truthfully speaking, it wasn't really hard to focus. I've been an underdog before, obviously not a huge underdog, but when you go back to the Jamel fight, world title fight, I was an underdog. When you go back to the Hector fight, I was an underdog. Very disrespectful underdog, honestly. So now when we get here to the Tank fight, it's just like, all right, here we go again. I feel like when my back is against the wall or against the ropes, it's like, it's time to show up.
Davis entered this fight as a gigantic favorite. Many also believe that he's one of the hardest pound-for-pound punchers in the sport and would have no issue finding Roach's chin and finishing the fight early. Of course, that was not the case. Now that the fight is over, fans are wondering whether Davis has been overrated to this point and was exposed against Roach. Newly crowned World Boxing Organization lightweight champion Keyshawn Davis, who has a 13-0 professional record with 9 knockouts, has no relation to Gervonta Davis and hopes to fight the winner of the Tank versus Roach rematch, directly addressed whether Roach exposed Davis during a recent appearance on the Porterway podcast.
That fight that they had was a phenomenal fight. That joint was like one of the fights, I feel like could be one of the fights of the year. Yeah. High level, skill level, 2 boxers in there, but still trying to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a hell of a fight. You know what I'm saying? And I understand a fight like that because I fight how they was fighting. I just feel like I do a better job at it.
Okay.
I don't think he got exposed, Keyshawn Davis said of Tank. I just think Lamont was better than everyone expected him to be. Lamont can really fight. I said that I thought Tank would knock him out, so he proved me wrong. Lamont is better than we made him out to be, but I don't think Tank got exposed or anything like that, he added. Props to Keyshawn Davis for not jumping on Tank while he's down, like many other members of the boxing community.
Whoever wins that is number 3 for me. That's how I feel.
Sauce Walker was just here the other day.
Yeah.
I asked him what he thought about the fight. He's a huge boxing fan, you know that?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Huge boxing fan. He knows how to box too. He knows how to throw his hands.
He showed me some videos.
Yeah, he said,
I want to see that.
Hell yeah.
I said, what do you think happened? He said, he said Roach won convincingly.
Yeah.
He said he said, I don't care about the knee. He goes, but I'm gonna tell you what, if I were Roach, I ain't doing the rematch.
Many consider that Gervonta Davis is not even a shadow of what he was a few fights ago, and Oscar De La Hoya made a comment that evidences the drop in performance in the Southpaw from Baltimore. De La Hoya was interviewed by Fight Hype TV and at one point spoke about the undefeated World Boxing Council interim lightweight champion William Zepeda, who won the interim title after defeating Tevin Farmer in 2024 and is preparing for a rematch on March 29th. Golden Boy believes that once his commitment against Farmer is over, the Mexican boxer could face Shakur Stevenson and then have a title unification fight against Tank, especially now that his rematch against Lamont Roach is becoming uncertain. Shakur is a tough man to beat, but not impossible. His style is very complex, said the former boxer.
Who won Tank or Lamont? this is my opinion.
Sure.
It was a great fight. It was a close fight. Depending on what they do with that decision of taking the knee, depending if the commission reverses the decision, or I think a draw was meant to be. So I like the draw.
Do you like the?
And he took the opportunity to send a harsh message to Davis, pointing out that if Tank showed the same performance he showed against Roach, the WBC champion would not give him a minute's peace in the ring. This is how the result of a single fight seems to have tipped the scales in favor of Sugar should a fight against Davis materialize. Gervonta Tank Davis is not going through his best moment, as the draw earlier this month with Lamont Roach Jr. seems to have left him in a vulnerable situation. And it is that, after this result, Davis, who had previously refused to face Shakur Stevenson, leaving him unanswered or eluding the same, now seems to be much more open to the fight against the World Boxing Council lightweight champion.
I think, like the knee though, was that a good call on the ref?
No, if you take a knee, man, if you take a knee in the 90s or in 2000, you're taking a point off. That's the bottom line. You're taking a point off. I don't know what happened with the referee. Maybe he was a little starstruck. Maybe he was a little, because he loves Tank. He loves New York. He loves the big lights. The referee with the eyes,
However, before that, Tank wants to finalize the rematch against Roach as soon as possible. With a questionable performance against Roach, Gervonta Tank Davis sustained the first blemish on his professional record, settling for an unpopular draw on Saturday night here at Barclays Center. One judge scored the fight for Davis at 115, 113, while the other two had it 114, 114 even, resulting in a majority draw. The crowd, which was a reported 19,250, lustily booed the decision.
I could have stopped him. It's me. Definitely my fault.
With the draw, Davis 30-01 retained his World Boxing Association lightweight title, while Roach, January 2nd, 25, earned a significant amount of esteem, even if he didn't become a two-division champion on this night. "I'm a little disappointed in the decision. I thought I pulled it out," said Roach, whose World Boxing Association junior lightweight title wasn't at stake. "That's what two skilled fighters do. Go in there and show off their craft. Lamont Roach definitely thought I won, but we can run it back. Davis too thought he should have won. He thought he pulled it out in the last 3 rounds for sure. Sadly, the result told a different story.
I did enough to get the victory over a spectacular fighter. I told y'all from the beginning, man, that
Davis felt he was catching him with some clean shots. He felt he was breaking him down as the rounds were going on, but Roach kept coming, so he didn't want to make mistakes, and I kept it cautious. CompuBox stats told the story of the 29-year-old Roach outworking Davis over the 12-round distance, with Roach landing 112 of 400 total punches, while Davis landed 103 of his 279 attempts. Davis had a slight edge in power connects, landing 93 of 210 attempts, while Roach landed 87 of 252 attempts. The most consequential sequence of the fight wasn't any punch, but rather a decision by referee Steve Willis. Seconds into round 7, Davis took a knee after absorbing a jab from Roach, then ran over to the corner to have a cornerman wipe his face, an action that he later explained was because he had chemicals from his hair dripping into his face.
My fault. It's all right. You know what I mean? You live and you learn. I definitely could have. That was on me too. That was on me for sure. Because I ain't pick it up when I supposed to pick it up. And
Willis began to count a knockdown, reaching 2 before changing his mind and allowing Davis to be illegally tended to by his cornerman. Had Willis correctly called that a knockdown or penalized Davis's corner for interfering in the middle of the round, judges could have scored the round 10, 8 in Roach's favor, giving the prohibitive underdog the margin of victory. "It should have been a knockdown," Roach said. "If that was a knockdown, I would win the fight." He's saying grease got in his eye, but if he takes a knee and the ref starts counting, it should be a knockdown. Davis's explanation seemed to upset the crowd further as they booed him once more. "It's all cool," Davis said.
All that. And I'm just glad I got to show it, honestly. I'm glad I got to show it. I appreciate, like I said before, I appreciate True Boxing Media some guys that didn't count me out. So that's just how I feel, man. I think I won.
Adding the fact that fans can be very fickle with their affection. They love you, then they hate you, then they love you again. You know what I mean? Terrence Crawford was among the boxing personalities who chimed in on the fight, stating that he felt Roach was robbed of a deserved victory. I never seen someone take a knee and they don't count it as a knockdown. Terrence Crawford chimed in on social media. It was clear from the outset that both fighters, who had fought each other twice as young amateurs, had a great deal of respect for one another. As neither seemed to want to take any chances at walking into a counterpunch, Davis, 30 of Baltimore, began to pick up his activity slightly in the second round, leading with 1-2 counters as Roach maintained his steady, disciplined pressure, which made Davis work but gave him little off which to counter.
I could have definitely did more. Just a lot going on. But again, it was myself.
Roach made his first significant statement of the fight in the third, landing with both hands to the body before landing a right around the guard. Davis stepped up his work rate in the fourth, getting off with 1-2 combinations as he sought to convince Roach to take more chances. Davis's best offense of the round came when he shoulder-butted Roach, which drew a retaliation right hand to the face from Roach. Willis warned Roach for the infraction, even though it was Davis who committed the foul.
And I think I won. And, I can't wait to do it again. I can't wait to dance again.
All right, guys, raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. So try to be patient because we will try to get to you.
Hey, Lamont. Over here.
What's up?
Yo, what's up? Hey,
The fifth round saw both fighters step up the intensity a little more as Davis began to find the target with double left hands and Roach backed straight out of exchanges. Anyone doubting whether Roach was a serious threat to pull off the upset would have been convinced by the seventh round, when Roach appeared to hurt Davis with a counter right hand that landed awkwardly on the right side of Davis's face as he attempted to turn away from the shot. Roach wobbled Davis momentarily, but he continued to be disciplined in his approach, having noted the long list of fighters who were knocked out by Davis as they attempted to capitalize on an advantage. Roach continued to find success in the eighth round as the two exchanged their rear power hands, with the right hand of Roach doing more damage than the left of the southpaw Davis.
But you gotta go to the gym and, get back to the drawing board and, train a little harder.
After the chaos of the ninth round, Roach continued to put on smart pressure, putting his punches together to the body and head, while Davis mostly settled for one punch at a time. With the fight potentially in the balance, it was Roach who came out aggressively, with combinations while Davis continued to look for that single shot. Afterwards, Davis gave his respect to Roach, whom he defeated in those two amateur bouts but now has to settle for a draw within the pros. Lamont is a great fighter. He got the skills like I said before, and the punching power, Davis said.
During this fight here, you showed the world that you didn't back down because, of course, leading into the fight, folks were saying, Tank's opponents get intimidated and everything like that. But, of course, like you said in the press conference, you ready to boogie. Because you already knew what it was, between you and Tank. So,
To Gervonta Davis, it was a lesson learned. He said this while giving a shout out to Lamont Roach and his whole team. Hopefully we can run it back to New York. Let's do it again, baby. Roach, who seemed to revel in the vindication of his showing, agreed that the fighters have unfinished business. Roach acknowledged that Gervonta is a great fighter while thanking him for the opportunity to show all the people that were doubting his abilities, all the fake boxing media and fans talking trash. That trash got flipped upside down. Even though he didn't win on the night he thought he did, but it's a win for him in the book of many hardcore boxing fans out there, but many are not satisfied with that. The boxing community needs a real W.
It wasn't really hard for me to focus because all I had to do was do what I normally do. And I know that was gonna surprise or shock or shut everybody up.
Paulie, what I'm curious about, you talked earlier in the fight, we were discussing this before we went on air, you talked about the scoring criteria of a lot of the judges went with Gervonta Davis early on in the fight. You thought that was unfair, inappropriate. You didn't score it that way at all, Paulie.
Well, I feel like a lot of times there's this misconception.
Regardless of whatever decision the World Boxing Organization are thinking of coming up with, the boxing community is eagerly waiting for the rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach. Boxing professionals and fans know how big this fight already is, seeing the kind of action that filled the first fight. And then it raises the question that if the first fight that was not really appealing to many boxing fans could break records at the Barclays Center, how many more records will this one break, seeing how viral the fight has become due to the 9th round controversy? Lamont REMATCH has seen his stock increase massively, being the first man to stop Gervonta Davis from getting a win in his 31-fight career, and that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.